Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do paperclip flags Valentine edition. These are little cute paper clips that you can put into your planner or on your love note or a Valentine's letter. Just a little bit extra kind of artistry to show someone that you love them. I'm going to do 4 of them on 3 different sizes of paper clips. The biggest one is 78mm, the medium one is 45mm, and the smallest one is 32mm. I'm going to use cardstock that is slightly smaller, and all the measurements will be on my blog, which will be linked in the description down below, just as all of the supplies that I've used for all of the flags in this video. So we're gonna start with the bigger flag, and for the bigger flag I am using a stamp set called Snow Day. I'm gonna use a whole bunch of pattern papers from the Let's Polka and Let's Bouquet collections. If I can find them, I will link them down below, but I think they all are out of print. Sorry about that. I'm also going to use some pink cardstock, MFT bubblegum pink, to have for the sentiment. I have a 2.5 inch strip of paper, and I'm going to score that at 5/8 of an inch, and that is to have a little fold that is perfectly straight that I then can fold over my paper clip. I fold them on the long side so they really get stuck, but you can actually fold them on the other side of it so that you can actually put the paper clip out or change it out. I stamped the sentiment in some tuxedo black ink on the pink cardstock, and then I'm using the same ink for the bird, and this is because I'm going to color the bird with my Copics. I'm going to give this bird the simplest of coloring. I'm just giving it just a teeny tiny gradient. I did color it in with a single color once, but it didn't pop as well as it does as a gradient. So I kind of like just this very simple coloring. I'm using R30, R32 and R43 for that. And then I am fussy cutting the little birdie out with my CHIRPY scissors. They are my absolute favorite fussy cutting scissors. To ground my sentiment, because it felt a little bit empty when I tried it, off screen of course, I have cut a couple of strips of paper. They are 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch. Then I'm gonna start kind of positioning my little things, and the first thing that I'm positioning is the bird, because it's the top little character, and I'm making sure that it's about 1/2 inch from the folded edge, because otherwise the flag itself will feel a little bit cramped. I'm using the Lawn Fawn glue pen to add these little strips of paper, just to make the sentiment grounded. I kind of like making these little groupings of strips that have just a little edge. In some cases you can even give it that really flagged end and not just a little diagonal. However, the flag itself is going to have the flag end, so I felt it was a little bit too busy with that. Using some foam tape to adhere the sentiment and the bird, I'm going to add the paper clip with some glue, so I'm just adding it on top of that. This specific, all paper clips are a little bit different, and this was a little bit tighter than other ones are, but it worked out really great anyhow. It was just a little bit fiddlier to get straight on. And then I'm using some extra of the smallest paper clips just to hold on to while the glue dries. I'm using my paper trimmer to cut off the edge so I get a very straight edge. Then I know that my flag ends will be even. I then cut up in the middle, which I measured on my little mat, and then I cut from the edge up to that cut to get that perfect flag. It's just so simple. And that is the first and the big flag, and all the other flags are done with the same kind of idea but different sizes. So for my second flag, I'm using the medium 45mm paperclip. I'm using stamp sets from Mom Plus Me, Into the Woods and Toboggan together. From Toboggan Together, I'm using this little penguin. You can see that I have a little theme. It's Valentine birdies for these. I'm going to use the I love you from Mom and Me, and then I'm going to use this little hello speech bubble, which I have stamped in the Lawn Fawn lobster ink. It matches perfectly with all the Lawn Fawn papers, so I thought it felt good, and also it's pretty bright red when you stamp it, but it does kind of seep in a little bit and gets a little bit more coral, which I really love. I then go in with my Copics, very simple coloring, adding just a little bit of dimension by shading on one side and also shading a little bit on the belly and on the beak and the little paws. Super simple, but it makes it pop a little bit more than otherwise. I'm fussy cutting out these. They're probably dies somewhere, but I kind of like fussy cutting. Here you can see moving the paper and holding the scissors quite steady will actually give you that good even edge when you cut around it. So I did a little fold on the piece of paper, which is 1 inch and 4/16 of an inch wide. I then making sure that I have a little bit of space up to the fold, putting my characters a little outside of the flag itself, just to give it a little bit more detail, give it a little bit more pop. The paper I'm using here is the really rainbow cardstock, or from the pattern paper pack 6x6 pattern paper pack, really rainbow. That does still is out there, so that you should be able to get. And then I'm using the Let's Polka and the Let's Bokeh papers to make these little teeny tiny flags, to again help ground the sentiment, because I felt the little shadow you get when you add a little dimension wasn't enough. So that is a tip. You can always make these little collections of different sized stripe of any kind of paper pieces that you have lying around, scrap pieces of paper. All of these flags can actually be made with scrap pieces of paper, so you don't even have to go into your stash of or not cut paper yet. You can just take all the little pieces and put these together. It's a lot of fun diving in your scrapyard. At least I do that sometimes, and I have a lot of fun trying to match the different papers. And that is the second of my 4 flags. I have 2 more flags, but they're pretty quick. I'm using the teeny tiny paper clips for these. For the first one, I'm using the Love You a Latte and the GNOME Sweet GNOME stamp sets. And I'm going to stamp both of them onto some Copic Safe paper. This is Hammer Mill. Trying it out, going to see how it looks. I'm going to color both the bird and the little coffee cup, but I figure later out that that coffee cup is way too big for this little flag. I couldn't place it in such a way that it would work. I would probably wanted to have a wider flag for it, so I end up scrapping that idea, but you will see that a little bit later on. I'm going to cut everything out again, and as you see, this is why I like fussy cutting, because this sentiment, all of these little teeny tiny details, is very hard to get in a die when it goes this tight when you want to match it up. But when you don't want to match it up and you just want to use the scissors, you can get really close to your text. So I'm starting off by just kind of putting this up with some foam tape, making sure again that it is about 1/2 inch underneath the fold so that it doesn't feel cramped. And as you see here, it's way too big. That little coffee cup is way too big. So instead of using that, I am actually going to scrap it. I'm going to add that little bird, and then I decided, well, I want more details. It feels a little bit alone there, so I'm going to stamp out some of these little hearts. I ended up stamping 5 of them, coloring them with the R32 marker so it matched the little birdie. I fussy cut them all out, and then I'm using the little glue pen to add glue on the on the back side, and I'm adding them. And the idea was to add them first on the little A and latte and love, and then I decided to kind of more sprinkle them so it looks like they are sprinkled, or like little notes from the birdie tweeting or something. I then do my little flag end at the bottom. I add the paper clip again with some of that glue pen. I'm going to use another 2 paper clips just to hold it in place while it dries, and then I'm going to add some details. And here's where I got a little bit. I'm going in with the Nouveau glitter pen. I really didn't need this, because instead of putting that's the Spectrum Noir glitter pen, but instead of using the clear Nouveau, I ended up picking the glittered Nouveau, and then you don't need the Spectrum Noir glitter pen at all, because you get enough glitter in the Nouveau one. For the 4th one, it's super simple. The reason why I decided to do this one was because I really wanted to use that little sentiment speech bubble with a heart. I was supposed to use it for the other one, I just forgot it. And when I realized that, I'm like, I want to use that, so I'm gonna make a 4th one. It's just what's gonna happen. So I picked out this little bird from the Chirpy Chirp Chirp set. It's usually used as a little yellow bird for Easter. However, I thought, why not make it pink, and it will work for Valentine's also. So I colored it in pink, gave it gray toes and beak, and then I'm cutting it out together with the little speech bubble. I'm using some of the red Let's Polka in the Snow paper. I'm gonna, again, here I'm adding the little speech bubble a little bit farther in, but I do let the bird hang on the edge. I'm also gonna give that the little flag end to finish off my flags. You can do angled edges, you can do deckled edges, you can do quite a lot of different edges for it, but I just did flags all over. Then I'm going to use a little bit of that glue to adhere my last paper clip, and the paper clip flags are finished. That was all 4 of them. If you enjoyed this video, please thumbs it up. If you do something with it, please tag me if you share it on social media. I would love to see what you do with my tutorials. Thank you again for watching. If you want to see more like this, just hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Bye!